Timing belt replacement used to be straightforward. However, modern engines like the Ford 1 litre EcoBoost are installed with a belt-in-oil system, designed to be more efficient and quieter, but requires stricter servicing regimes to be adhered to. Today, we'll walk through an installation using a Gates PowerGrip Belt-in-Oil timing system kit. GAT 5150 is required for correctly setting the timing system and locking the engine. GAT 5252 for the correct installation of the crankshaft oil seal. GAT 6160 torque multiplier tool is required for removal and installation of the crankshaft fixing bolt. Unlike traditional dry belt timing systems, which are mounted externally on an engine, a belt-in-oil timing system is mounted internally on an engine. Therefore, the timing belt is operating within an oil environment. The engine's lubrication system must be maintained as recommended by the vehicle manufacturer's maintenance schedules. Extended or prolonged maintenance intervals lead to deterioration of the engine oil, which will affect the timing belt, leading to a buildup of contamination in the crankcase sump, reduced oil feed supply and engine warning lights appearing on the dashboard, which leads to further component failure and catastrophic engine damage. Please be aware, maintenance and replacement schedules are key factors for longevity of these types of drive systems. Gates kits are engineered to counter these risks, with OE level design and materials, and specifically developed to meet the demands of Ford EcoBoost system. That's why timely replacement is key and why Gates is your trusted solution. Let's dive into the removal and installation processes. To start, we must remove all vacuum hoses, followed by the intake manifold and the ignition coils. Drain the high pressure fuel manifold and remove it, then the fuel pump, and finally the camshaft cover and the spark plugs. After that, remove both the intake and exhaust VVT solenoids. At this point, we can remove the accessory belt drive system, then remove the alternator and the AC compressor. We finish by removing the starter motor. Now we're going to lock the engine in its timing position. First, we locate and remove the blanking plug from the crankshaft timing pin hole. Then we insert the crankshaft timing pin from our GAT 5150 timing tool kit. Slowly rotate the crankshaft clockwise until it fully contacts this pin. Next, we need to verify that the camshafts are in the correct position, with their flat machine surfaces at the top. If the flat surfaces are not in the correct positions, the camshaft locking tools will not fit correctly. Therefore, the camshafts will need rotating to correctly install the locking tools. Now install the cam phaser locking tools to both camshafts and tighten the fixing bolts to 10 Newton meters. Rotate the cam phaser tool's central boss anti-clockwise until hard resistance is felt. Then tighten the 6 locking screws to 15 Newton meters. To immobilize the flywheel, install the GAT 5154 tool into the starter motor aperture. It's crucial to ensure that the crankshaft remains immobilized and in the correct timing position while locking the flywheel. At this point, we can now remove and discard the crankshaft pulley's central fixing bolt using the GAT 6160 torque multiplier tool. The tool is installed onto the engine block via a bracket to give support and stability when removing the crankshaft's fixing bolt, ensuring an easier and smoother process thanks to its 5.1 conversion ratio. After removing the crankshaft bolt, remove the crankshaft pulley and the crankshaft oil seal. It's vital to remember that the crankshaft sprocket is floating, meaning the crankshaft can rotate independently of the belt once the bolt is loosened. Therefore, we must ensure that the crankshaft remains locked with the locking tool until the pulley has been reinstalled and the bolt has been correctly tightened. Now we can remove the timing belt cover along with the water pump. Since the bolts are different lengths, it's important to note where each bolt is located for installation later. With the cover removed, loosely place the intake and exhaust camshaft locking tools from Gates GAT 5150 toolkit onto the camshafts. Rotate the tensioner clockwise to release the belt tension. Insert a tensioner safety locking pin into the aligned holes. With the belt and tensioner removed, we can move on to the star of the show, installing the new Gates Belt-in-Oil Super Kit. Let's get started with the oil pump belt. This belt is located towards the lower part of the engine and is not accessible from above. Its replacement is mandatory when replacing the timing drive system. To access it, we need to remove the crankcase sump and the enclosed plastic baffle plate. If the old belts show any visual signs of degrading, cracking, sections of belt missing, then rubber particles will have been circulated within the engine's oilways and lubrication system. Therefore, these will require cleaning thoroughly to remove any debris. Now install the oil pump and the new oil pump belt, ensuring it is aligned and tensioned. With the tensioner correctly installed and its fixing torqued at 26 Newton meters, install the belt anti-clockwise, starting from the crankshaft sprocket, passing over the exhaust camshaft sprocket, then the intake sprocket, and finally over the tensioner. Once the belt is in position, remove the tensioner's safety locking pin so that it applies the correct tension to the new belt. Apply silicone sealant as recommended by the vehicle manufacturer, and then mount the crankcase sump to the engine. Install the fixing bolts in their correct positions and tighten them in the sequence shown to 10 Newton meters each. Apply sealant to the mating faces of the timing belt cover. Very important, the cover must be positioned and fixed within 10 minutes of applying the sealant, allowing the correct curing time required, preventing oil leakage later on. Once the cover is in place, proceed to insert bolts 1 and 2, which serve as locators. Then insert the remaining fixing bolts and tighten them following the multiple sequences and torque values, as indicated in the installation instructions. Install the cam phaser locking tools and secure the 3 fixing bolts at 10 Newton meters. Now rotate the cam phaser tools central boss anti-clockwise until hard resistance is felt. Then tighten the 6 locking screws to 15 Newton meters. The next step is the installation of the new crankshaft oil seal to the timing belt cover. For this, we will use Gates GAT 5252 tool. Now it's time to install the crankshaft pulley, but first we must ensure that the thrust washer is inserted between the sprocket and the pulley. Using a new fixing bolt, we insert the pulley onto the crankshaft, initially tightening it by hand only. Make sure the pulley's alignment hole is approximately at the 1 o'clock position in relation to the central fixing bolt. Now insert the crankshaft pulley setting pin from Gates GAT 5150 kit. The tightening of the crankshaft's central fixing bolt is performed in several stages. Stage 1, tighten the bolt to 25 Newton meters and wait a few seconds. Stage 2, tighten the bolt to 70 Newton meters. At this point, we will use Gates GAT 6160 torque multiplier tool again. Once installed, we must remove the crankshaft pulley setting pin before continuing with the tightening process. Stage 1, apply 60 Newton meters of torque to the 5:1 multiplier tool. Subsequently, 5 times 90-degree angular rotations are then applied, and please allow a resting period of the bolts between each tightening sequence. Once tightening is complete, remove the torque multiplier and reinsert the crankshaft pulley setting pin into the crankshaft pulley alignment hole to verify that the pulley is correctly aligned and has not rotated during the tightening process. If the pulley alignment is correct, remove all the setting tools from the engine. If alignment is incorrect, you will need to restart the process and a new fixing bolt will also be required. For the final timing check, rotate the crankshaft 1 3/4 turns clockwise. Now we reinsert the GAT 513 timing pin. Then we slowly rotate the crankshaft in the clockwise direction until it contacts the setting pin. At this moment, we must check that the crankshaft pulley timing tool can be installed, which will confirm that the timing is correct. Remove all the locking tools and reinsert the crankshaft's blanking plug. Finally, reassemble all other vehicle components in the reverse order of removal. And that's it, our Gates belt-in-oil replacement is complete. Don't forget to refill the engine with the correct vehicle manufacturer's specified oil and install a new oil filter. The Gates PowerGrip Belt-in-Oil Kit is OE exact and specifically developed to meet the demands of Ford EcoBoost systems. Don't compromise with poor quality alternatives. Choose Gates for confidence in every rotation. For more installation help, visit gatestechzone.com or contact your local distributor.